Hey YouTube, thought I should probably talk to you guys. Well, I guess I probably should point that up a little bit. Talk to you guys about e-bike laws and bicycle laws in general. There really isn't any laws other than for uh, the standard e-bike laws. All regulations pertaining to bikes are voluntary. And most people don't realize that your safety testing has been completed on your bike that you've bought is voluntary. And so, being voluntary, most of the bikes that are sold in the U.S. by U.S. manufacturers are meet a standard that was set by the government and the bike manufacturers. They all came to an agreement on how bikes should be built or the standards for safety. But they're all voluntary. This federal government, the Consumer Protection uh, Agency, does not have the ability to uh, fine or otherwise punish manufacturers that don't meet the voluntary standards because they're not written into the law. So, if you get on your bike and think that I'm safe, it was tested and it came from China and wasn't has a no name brand on it, there wasn't any testing completed to make sure that bike is safe, uh, whether it be an e-bike or a pedal bike. They don't follow the same standards that American bike manufacturers do, and it's been that way since it was, I think, 1970s when they came up the standard of how things are tested or what needs to be tested. So it's again, it's all voluntary. No way to punish manufacturers that don't meet the standards. Um, and with this 2025 e-bike rules coming up, it is the government's way to make the Chinese bikes coming into this country comply with the minimum standards. So they're going to set them, they're going to make them prove that they've been tested to that standard, and if they aren't, who knows if they'll be able to do anything. It might be that they pass these rules and make the bike manufacturers come into compliance, but have no ability to penalize them if they don't. Uh, I think that would take an act of Congress to give the Consumer Protection Agency the ability to do that. There are exceptions to this. Any bike that is considered DOT regulated, they have the ability to fine and make them. So motorcycles that can be licensed, e-bikes, so far they're in the gray area, like the Ciron and the Segway bikes that are fast, but they are not regulated yet because they haven't been put into that electric motorcycle category. And with this new regulations that came up, there will be a clear definition of what an e-motorcycle is and what an e-bike is. There will be no gray area. They're going to make it so those gray area manufacturers won't be able to import their bikes into the United States. And for some of you, that's going to mean that next time you buy an e-bike, you're not going to be able to buy one that goes 40 miles an hour unless you buy one that has DOT certification for American roads. The European standard, I'm not so sure that's going to happen, although they've mentioned it time and time again, either the ISO or the European country standard. But right now, they're still working on them, and there hasn't been any news on what they're going to come up with. But based on what I've read everywhere through all the comments and everything, the vast majority of the 219 comments that were put out were for some further regulations. I already talked about where they came from and that, but So if you're out there on your e-bike with your electric with your handlebars turned around backwards, I guarantee, even though they may have tested it, but I doubt it, you using those turned around handlebars in a way they weren't designed to be. And if you kill yourself doing it, all the manufacturer has to say is, we didn't design this handlebar to be turned around like that. I'm sorry he killed himself, but he modified the bike. And that's how they look at it too. All bikes that you buy in a box store that you assemble yourself, you'll look on the top tube and it'll have a warning about riding at night. And you know where those warnings came from? Not the federal government. Lawsuits that were brought against bicycle companies that did not have warning labels telling stupid people they can't ride their bike at night without having lights on it. Reflectors are a poor substitute for lights. They're passive. The only way they work is if light shines on them. So if you're riding at night, buy a set of bike lights. The ones that are on that come on e-bikes are inadequate at best unless you buy something special from the manufacturer. The one on my electric I wouldn't use at all because they do not light up. This one isn't too bad. This one's about 5 or 6 times better than the electric, and I still don't consider it good enough for night riding. So, just a little warning: if you're riding your bike, you modify your bike, and you have an accident and you go after the manufacturer for a part failure, the chances are you're going to lose, because if they see that your bike's been modified in any way, they're going to be able to use that against you. And in the future, when that police officer's got his training that they're talking about making all police departments give their officers, and he pulls you over and you say, well, my bike's a class 1, I have the throttle disabled, and he goes and cranks that crank arm around and watches how fast it'll go, and he goes 29, 30 miles an hour, you're likely to get a ticket that says you're riding an unauthorized modified bike on whatever situation you're riding it on. I'm telling you that it's easy for them to see how fast your bike will go. If they just lean it over on its kickstand or turn it up or lift up the back tire and twist the throttle, and they can see how fast that bike will go. And here's the thing, you can say that it was tested with a 170-pound person on it, but it don't matter if there's no weight on it or not. When he twists that throttle, it should not go faster than 20 miles an hour unless you're riding a class 3. And in that case, it can go 28 miles an hour, but not under throttle. Yeah, they made that pretty clear. There was a bunch of bike manufacturers, even as late as 21, that were making bikes that would throttle past 20 miles an hour. Now, the law for the vast majority of us is 20 miles an hour is the limit on throttle. So, if your bike goes 35 on throttle, then you're not riding an e-bike, you're riding a moped. Doesn't really matter if it has pedals or not, or if you're even pedaling. If you can throttle past 20 miles an hour, then it doesn't meet any of the classifications of e-bikes. So that puts it in a gray area bike, and they are going to stop that. They're already talking about, California's already in the thought process of coming up with a law that says you cannot modify your bike beyond the original intended speed limit that's imposed on the bike. And if they catch you with a modified bike, they can confiscate it and make you either take it to a shop to be brought back into compliance or destroyed. If you don't think the government won't do it, you're wrong, because look at all these diesel truck owners that went out and modified their trucks that are finding out now they have to bring them back in compliance or destroy them, and the government's being a real stickler on it too. So if you're out there riding an e-bike that doesn't meet any of the e-bike standards, keep that in mind, that you're riding a gray area bike, and that sooner or later all the states are going to catch up, and they're going to pass laws that says, can't modify it beyond its intended purpose. And that's the way it is. And it's a direct result of people getting hurt because they modified their bike, going too fast. The other day I seen another video where somebody was on an e-bike, got pulled over for going 15 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. And the cop was like, I don't know what kind of bike that is, but it's not a bike anymore. It should be licensed. And you know what the best source for the government to come up with these regulations? You're watching it right now, YouTube. They watch YouTube. The Forest Service watches it. The Department of Transportation watches it. They've got people that is their job, looking for violations. I just seen a video done by, what is his name? Anyway, he's on the YouTube, and he's an attorney. He just did a video of a guy getting a ticket, getting a warrant issued for a speeding violation that he did a video of on YouTube. I didn't know, I haven't seen the video, but they issued a warrant for his arrest for over a video. So if you think they can't use a video against you, you're wrong. You make them it's seen it time and time again. Videos make it easy for anybody to be prosecuted, especially when they put it out there for public use. So if you're videoing yourself going down the road going 40 miles an hour, you're just adding to the government's case against e-bikes and e-bikers. One last thing. I continually see people putting so much crap on the front of their bike that they don't even have room to move their hand around on the bike to do anything. Now, I understand some people need that stuff on the front of their bike, but keep in mind that the wind that comes in from you at the front is anything you add in front of your chest is going to take away from aerodynamics of the bike, and is going to make it harder to pedal, limit your range, and make it harder to steer. That weight on the handlebars adds to the problems that you may have with steering. If you want to carry a bunch of stuff, you're better off getting saddlebags or putting it behind you. Your body's in front of it, it's blocking it some, and it makes it a whole lot easier for you to pedal and maneuver. So if you look at my bike, I have a mirror and I have a water bottle holder. And the reason I don't have the water bottle holder mounted on the frame is it makes it too hard to get on, and it's way down from where it should be. Makes it hard to reach and grab and use. So I put the water bottle up front, but that's the only thing that's going to go on my handlebars. And if you can, move the stuff off the front of your bike to the back of the bike. It'll help you get more miles out of your bike. It'll help you steer more safely, and in a crash, it's less things that can puncture your body parts. Have a great day.